All right, guys, welcome back to the Bite Size Podcast. I was going to say podcast.
That's a
Welcome
good
back.
name.
I know,
The
right?
Bite-Sized Podcast. I love it. 'Cause we're talking about with your business, it's about your bod. It's
Oh my
perfect.
God, we're on a roll. Yep, I might just change it to the Bite Size Podcast, but that could imply some very inappropriate things that I'm not trying to talk about.
I don't
So,
think it's inappropriate at all. Normalize talking about butts and bods.
we are off to a fantastic start. I have with me such a good friend of mine that I met at Lindsay's Lindsay Marie's Powerhouse event, Miss
Really?
Melissa Manning. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
I am just great. I'm great. We've already been chatting and giggling, so my day is going very well.
Fantastic. As is mine. We both have animals running around in our houses here, and so we've been trying to figure out when is a great time to start talking because these animals just won't. They're on no chill right now.
Yeah, well, actually, mine is now passed out right behind my chair, both of them. So
Good.
let's see how long
Good.
that lasts. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to dive in today. I've been so excited to talk to you about this. It's been a hot topic in my house lately and somewhat of a taboo topic in other people's houses and maybe a scary topic in other people's houses. We are talking about money, folks.
Money,
We are
money,
talking
money.
about making money. Yeah. Making money, building money, saving money. What do you do with your money? So, Melissa, tell us what it is that you do in a nutshell. I'm going to tell the audience you are a wealth strategy coach. So, what
Yes.
do you do? What do you help
Oh
people
my god.
with?
What do I do? Literally, I'm just talking about money all day long, thinking about money every time I wake up and before I go to sleep. So, what do I do? I am basically helping people develop their financial visions for their future and then build an authentic wealth strategy around it. I've developed a framework that I call the Empire Engine, which takes them through five key areas of basically developing this whole system of creating passive income that drives them on it on its own, because we try to make it passive and automatic and we try to delegate as much as we can, but drives them to this where they basically have financial freedom. They have the passive income streams to do whatever and everything they want in life, and maybe even give back and be generous and make an impact on the world, and also create this kind of snowball of legacy wealth that never burns out.
That
It's
sounds
a lot.
perfect.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I love it. I love it. And I mean, I say, scary, taboo, hot topic, all these things because I feel like people have a certain outlook on money and a lot. I mean, it's all very different. It depends on what subconscious beliefs you have, what limiting beliefs you have, how you were raised and brought up to think about money. Some people say money is the root of all evil, but really, I was listening to a podcast and they were saying it is, oh, now I can't remember the actual word they use, but it's basically it's nothing, right? It's not good nor bad money
Yeah.
by itself.
It's a tool.
Yeah. But in the hands of someone who has ulterior motives and who maybe is evil, like then money becomes evil. But in the hands of someone who is generous and loving and kind, then money is a blessing, right? And so, that being said, when you are working with a client, are there some money mindset barriers that you have to work through with your clients to get them to where they want to be because they've grown up with certain beliefs about money?
Absolutely. So, yes, mindset or money beliefs that actually I notice in a lot of clients. So, the first one is just this idea, or actually, people don't see it this way, but I now see it this way, as traditional investing versus maybe a cash flow strategy, which is what I'm primarily doing with all of my clients. And then the second one, before I forget, is big numbers. So let's go back to the first one. Traditional investing. What is traditional investing? Traditional investing is something that's called like the accumulation method. It's something where, okay, let's save $500 every month. Let's put it away in a savings account and just, or in a brokerage account or in a 401k and let it just sit there and accumulate. And yes, we do want compounding. Compounding is great, but just like kind of sitting it here in this place that we're not allowed to touch, not allowed to utilize, and even sometimes get penalized if we do touch it or utilize our own money, right?
Frustrating.
So that, or even in real estate, the accumulation method could be purchasing things purely for the appreciation of the asset. And while that could be the best strategy for you, the best solution for you, could align perfectly with all your goals, we just want to double check that because a lot of that is speculation. It's crossing our fingers and just hoping to God that that pans out the way we expect. A lot of that is taking our money and putting it in the hands of somebody and not having any control over it, right? Appreciation is like reliant on the market. Whatever the market's going to do, that's what our investment's going to do. We don't really have control over that. So that's more of the traditional way of investing. And when clients are coming in, that has been so ingrained in us. Like
Mhm.
our parents, their parents, us, everywhere, save, save, save. Like that is what we've been taught. And actually save and enjoy later. Save, enjoy later. Don't enjoy it now. If you're enjoying it now, you're irresponsible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So then the other side of that coin is cash flow strategies where we're investing in things that are producing cash flow for us now, not 40 years from now, now, tomorrow, next month, maybe in the next 3 months. But it's it's a completely different kind of mindset. And also, actually, along with the cash flow, utilizing leverage. So, leverage is people confuse it with debt. So, debt and leverage, right? Leverage is when we're using money to make us more money. Debt
Mhm.
is when we're just basically owing and having to pay money to somebody else for something that's not making us any money,
Mm.
right? If I
Yeah.
bought a car, I'm paying the bank for that car, right? Or I'm paying the car dealership for that car. If I bought that car to rent out and make money off of, that's actually leverage instead of debt.
Right.
So there's a differentiator there. But we're very comfortable using debt for buying a house to live in,
Yeah.
which is not actually an asset. People get confused by that. So buying a house for us to live in that's not making us money is actually not an asset, it's a liability because it's taking money out of our pocket. Most people are very comfortable with that use of leverage. I
Mm.
would actually consider that debt, right? Even you mentioned a couple minutes ago, taking out a business loan is kind of a scary thing, right? But that is actually leverage, right? Because the plan is to use that to make more money. But most people are more uncomfortable with that idea than buying a liability that doesn't make them any money, right?
Right.
So it's like
Right. Right.
this weird thing that we're so conditioned in that we don't even question whether it's right or wrong. So, again, going back to your question, that mindset between this traditional way, how we've been sort of seeped in our financial education versus considering a different strategy and method that may actually be better for us, but contradicts what we've been taught our entire lives. So there's that. And then the second belief I would say is I've had a good number of clients. Once they get to a certain number in terms of the amount of cash they are investing, sometimes they start to procrastinate. They start to find excuses. They start to spend more as an excuse not to invest, right? Because they're hitting against this number that starts to scare them. And
Yeah.
like instead of acknowledging or understanding that no, you just have to basically like acclimatize to this new level of like dealing with money, managing money, dealing with these numbers, they just kind of maybe again, like I said, procrastinate or go the opposite, avoid it somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very interesting because we may be very comfortable up to, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000. But once we get over that number, well, that's scary. And now I'm finding all these reasons why I'm not going to do what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, yeah. So, the Audacious Founder, that is your business, and you've created this program, the Empire Engine. Talk to me a little bit about when you mentioned the vehicle to make their money make them money. What do you do? What does that look like? How are you helping your clients do that?
So the Empire Engine, I would not say is a vehicle. There are wealth building vehicles involved in that, right?
Okay.
So the Empire Engine is a framework that I've developed. It's a series of 5 areas, five, I want to call them steps, but under each one of those is a lot of things that we have to do. So there's a bunch of steps inside each step. So we'll call them areas. What most people are doing is they're not building wealth from an authentic place. They're building wealth from a place of, oh, this person told me to do this, or this person did that. James over there did X, Y, and Z. And now, he's got this big house and he drives a fancy car, right? So I'm going to do what James did. Or I'm going to follow that cookie cutter strategy on Instagram and hope that it works for me. What most people are doing are implementing or attempting to implement strategies of building wealth that are designed for other people, not for them, right? And not every strategy works for every person because every person has different priorities, goals, and superpowers, honestly. So now with the Empire Engine, we start with figuring out what is this ultimate legacy vision that we have for ourselves. What kind of life do we want to be living? What kind of life do we want our kids? If we have kids, what do we want them to be living? What do we want when we're no longer here? What do we want our kids' lives and their kids and their kids and their kids? What do we want that to look like? There's this really good book called What Would the Rockefellers Do, where he compares the Vanderbilts and the Rockefellers and how they both managed or mismanaged their wealth and how it was able or not able to last generations after the original Rockefeller.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at this very, very long term vision of we're going to work our butts off to create all this wealth. How do we make it last as long as possible? So, first, we're looking at that big vision, and then we're bringing it back to what do we like doing? What do we enjoy? What are we passionate about? What's our superpower? Meaning, like, what's our biggest, greatest strength? Because if we can build this system based on that, it's not only going to be this thing that grows and builds on itself, but it's also going to be something that is super fulfilling for us. So when we do get to quit our job, we actually enjoy doing the little bit of management that we have to do to keep the system running, right?
Yeah.
So it starts with making sure that this system is built off of authenticity, built off of us.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Then we move into like the vehicles. I don't know why I keep doing this. We move into the vehicles. So what happens is a lot of people feel very disempowered around financial education.
Mhm.
The finance industry has its own language. The insurance industry has its own language, right? Most everything has a lot of terminology that is like very specific to that industry, right? And so there's a learning curve in learning how to even read about, communicate about these things. And so what a lot of people do is they just avoid that, right? They put their money in the hands of other people that they think are more capable than them. But what happens is you're giving up responsibility and control over your money, and nobody's going to care about your money the way you do. So, the second area in my framework is cash flow compass. So, that's where we're doing education on all the various vehicles that you could be putting your money in to create passive income streams because that's what we want. We're not trying to sock away this money for the next 30 years. We want to put this into something that's going to create income for you as quickly as possible.
Mm.
So that could be real estate, could be cash value life insurance, could be other alternative investments like there's a lot of platforms for private money lending now. Like you could do almost like incremental private money lending. There are platforms where you can be investing little bits into businesses to help them grow, and business loans.
Hmm.
There's other kinds of like wealth management companies that might offer certain investments that do work to create passive income. So there's a lot of different things that people could be doing, but the idea is that we are learning a little bit about all of these, and then you're figuring out, okay, well, I actually really like this because I love real estate. I love decorating Airbnbs. I love, creating experiences for my renters, right? Or I don't want anything to do. I want it to be as passive as it can possibly be. So let me just do some of these private money lending things, right? So it could be a bunch of different things, but we're just trying to figure out what actually aligns with your superpower, your goals, and this long term vision.
Yeah. That oh man, selfishly I wanna be like, "So what if I"
Go ahead.
Well, okay, so I
I
am
may
gonna
not
set
be
it
able to
down.
answer because I may need more information, but
Yeah.
let's try.
So you had spoken about, like, the traditional of what, put it away and save it and work, and save and then, enjoy it. Whereas
Yeah.
there's the flip side of it of enjoy it now, like make it build and make your money work for you rather than you working for your money and then enjoy it now. So those things that you were talking about that you were just speaking about, those would fall under the category of building that income so that you can enjoy it now versus waiting, correct?
The idea is have your cake and eat it too.
Mhm.
Be able to invest while at the same time having your new assets pay
Mhm.
for a lot of the things that you would find enjoyable, going on vacations, maybe investing in a new business just for the fun of it because that's something you're passionate about,
Yeah.
right? Having your assets pay for the things that you want in life.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I love that, and I love how you touched on, like, the superpowers of, I don't think people really realize when like, there's so much stigma around money and, like, rather than using if you have that mindset of using it as a tool
Mhm.
and not selfishly. I mean, some people are selfish with their money, but like for instance, we have this dream that we want this a bunch of land that, for me personally, like I would love to have animals, like therapeutic animals, so horses, goats, just a bunch of farm animals and also having like a studio, a gym area and people can come for fitness. They can come and work out, they can come and spend time with animals, they can learn how to garden. Um,
Mm.
if people are trying to get back on their feet, there's like a little studio there or like a tiny house that they
Mhm.
can get back on their feet. They can help out on the ranch and kind of like earn their keep type of thing. So, like, that's what my big vision of how I can give back. So,
Okay.
having a bunch of land and a bunch of animals and a gym, like, that's going to cost a crap ton of money to get,
Mm.
but I want to use it to help people. So, like,
So that's interesting because the final area in my framework is infinite impact,
mhm, mhm,
right? Because kind of to sort of what you mentioned about the selfishness, what I notice is a lot of the selfishness, not for everybody, but for some people, it just comes from feeling like you're in survival mode, right? And
mhm,
feeling like you have to figure out this life and like make sure you're secure in this life,
mhm,
you know? But once you get to a place, because I've seen it with so many of my clients, once you get to a place where you have more than enough on a monthly basis, you have a bunch of resources, like, in different places that in any emergency you could pull from. Your kids are good, like your parents are fine, your parents are taken care of, whatever. Like, once you get to a place where you're no longer in survival mode financially, then you do kind of start thinking about this infinite impact.
yeah,
How can I make a difference in the world? Some of us think about it earlier, right? Because I've been thinking about it for such a
yeah,
long time too. But it's true, like that is one of, at least for me, like my main goal with working with my clients is like, once we get you sorted and your legacy sorted, let's make an impact. What are we going to do to make the world better? So, I love that you want to do that. And then my next thing with hearing you say all of that is I feel like so many people have these goals like you that feel like these very large goals and maybe very far off. And so my thought process is just what can we do now to inch that closer?
Yeah.
And oftentimes I oftentimes what I notice is that because we've sort of convinced ourselves that this goal or dream is so far off in the future, we stop measuring how and what we can do to bring it closer because it's just like out there, you know? And so when we actually do sit down and say, well, how much money would we actually need to start that? Could we start it in increments? Could we do, the animals first and then the gym, or the gym first and then the animals? Could we do it in pieces, or could we, whatever? Once we start strategizing about it, the people often realize it's not 20 years away. It actually could happen in 5 years or in a year and a half or 3 years or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So you help clients take that big vision and chip away at it slowly, but in bite-sized pieces rather, and bring that vision closer and help them realize that it isn't so far-fetched and so far off. You can just little by little make it happen, but you just got to map it out.
Mhm. And maybe it isn't little by little because you actually did mention an SBA loan.
Mhm.
So, what I was just thinking as you were saying that is that a lot of times we don't think about businesses as like a passive income stream, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe people do think about it as a passive income stream, not realizing how much work and for how long will go into it.
Mhm.
But I see it as both, right? I see when you start a business, you do have to put in a lot of time and energy to get that thing to a place where it can become passive. But if that is the goal from the beginning, I mean, I'm okay with that, and I include businesses as one of our cash flow vehicles because again, depending on what it is, sometimes it can cash flow faster than other ones. But so again, like sometimes I think people think these big dreams of maybe a business of sorts is almost not irresponsible, but like not the most stable thing we could do. Or whatever the excuse is to not be prioritizing it immediately.
Mm.
But like that is part of your what I call actually your wealth web, right? Because so area 3 in the framework is once we have implemented a couple of these cash flowing vehicles, we now build it into a web, right? Because we want a bunch of cash flowing vehicles. We want to be diversified. We don't want just one thing with all of our eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
And so this farm, which is also a gym, right? And also maybe you do charge for your tiny homes. Maybe it's also an Airbnb thing,
Mhm.
right? So this is actually like maybe 3 businesses in one, but this is part of your wealth web. So this
Mhm.
is actually not this potentially irresponsible, creative, like too, in a negative context, too creative, like too generous, not a responsible financial decision. This actually could be a very important piece of your wealth web that allows you to maybe get to all of these other goals over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Totally.
if you can get the cash, I know I'm like reaching all over the place. I see things, guys. I see like all your wealth web in front of me and I'm
Yeah.
like touching it, okay? If you're able to get the cash from an SBA loan, from your Uncle Bob, from, your 401k, maybe it makes sense to start that thing now, all in one go, get it up
Yeah.
and running, invest in it 100%, 150%, and get it cash flowing as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I need you.
I'm sorry I'm talking so much. I feel like I'm like going on and on and on. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. I love it because you're making it like for the listeners, they're kind of like, "Well, I don't understand." Well, there's a real life example, right? What about so taxes? Taxes come that's what I think of because I'm just like yes, we have a business and we're making all this money, but we don't have the money. Like, we want to do an investment property. We want to start building investment properties and purchasing them or whatever, whether it be rentals or Airbnb or flipping. We want to do that. And like, we theoretically make enough money to, but at the end of the day, like taxes, we are, so we're not doing it right because we end up owing. So then how are we supposed to accumulate these things, or, get the investments or the things that you're talking about and the things that you do, with this wealth strategy? How do we do that if our taxes are not in order?
Well, okay. Number one, taxes should be in order, right? Because when you say that, and again, it could be semantics, but when you say that, if somebody were to tell me their taxes are not in order, to me, that would mean that they're probably avoiding even like filing, which is an issue, right? We got to file so that we don't get in trouble and all the things. But so what happens for the majority of people who are working only two jobs, they have very little like resources or opportunities for tax relief, right? There's very little creative strategies that can be done with a W 2 tax return.
Yeah.
So, literally, if somebody's like, I want to pay less in taxes, the answer is start a business, buy real estate, maybe invest in something. Investing in something usually should increase your income, but sometimes when like the super wealthy, they will invest in things in order to get a tax write-off because maybe they're not getting money back, maybe there is a bit of a loss, or for whatever reason it is benefiting them tax wise. But real estate and starting businesses for sure will will create space for you to then pay less in taxes.
Hmm.
And I am not a licensed CPA. So if anybody, like don't take anything I say and actually go do it thinking that you're going to save on taxes or get any other sort of tax benefit. Always double check with your CPA. But yes, I would say that doing what I've been talking about will actually save you on taxes. And another thing related to the mindset piece is that in traditional investing, in regards to taxes, what CPAs and accountants will tell you is dump as much into your 401k as you can. Hide the money basically from
Mm-hmm.
the IRS and pay taxes on it later,
Mm-hmm.
right? But what the reason that that kind of sucks is because, first of all, the tax rates are going to continue to go up. So you're going to pay more in taxes in 30 years from now than you would pay on that money right now. So that's a bummer, right? And then the second thing is you putting that in your 401k is locking that money away. You cannot do anything with that money. So I'm not saying don't contribute to your 401k at all, but I'm saying if your accountant says, yeah, just put more to your 401k, put more in an IRA, maybe take a step back and understand more of the pros and cons of doing that and how that does or doesn't allow you to get to your ultimate goals,
Yeah.
right? So now, what am I suggesting if you do not hide all your money in your 401k or retirement accounts? Well, now, okay, you're going to say, but now I've got to pay tax on all of this income. Okay, well, hold up a little bit. What I would say is bring in as much cash as you can, make as much money as you can, and keep as much money as you can, and get it working for you, creating more money, more money, more money, more money. Now, before tax time comes, you're going to talk to not a CPA, not an accountant, but a tax strategist,
Mm.
somebody who literally has built their business around being more creative around the tax code than your
Yeah.
typical conservative CPA or accountant.
Yeah.
And so now that strategist is going to tell you, Lorraine, you have made this much money. You need to go buy a building or a property because we need a tax write off. And when you buy this property, you can write off blah, 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 all these things. You can do a cost segregation analysis that's going to save you $30,000 in taxes over the next 5 years, right? Blah, blah, blah. The tax strategist is going to come up with creative solutions that is going to reduce your tax bill to the IRS. And now let's say, okay, fine, it reduced my tax bill by okay, but I still owe 5,000. Okay, well, guess what? Because you took all of that money home with you, you invested that into a bunch of assets that are producing income for you. So, guess what? Those assets will just pay for that tax bill. So, you reduced your taxes, you invested a whole bunch more and built your legacy wealth, and you didn't pay that much in taxes and had assets that paid for them for you.
Love it. I love it.
I get pumped up.
I know, I know. That this is what when I first met you and I started asking you all these money questions, I loved it because you were just like,
I get like angry about it. I'm like,
I know.
no, don't do
I
that.
love it. So people can come to you at any point, right? There's no, I mean, do you only work with people that make X amount of money, or like do they need to be wanting, like, is there a baseline qualification, if you will? Like, why would someone come to you? Because they are making money, they want to make their money work for them, because they want to accumulate more money, they want to send their money to other places. Like, what's your ideal client?
Yeah. So all of those things are legitimate, yes, and they should want those things. I think it's more so that they're just sick and tired of not knowing what the heck to do with their money. And they are maybe overwhelmed by all of those cookie cutter strategies that they're seeing in like the financial section in the bookstore or on Amazon when they're looking for finance books. They're just seeing all these things and they have no idea like what is the right thing and why. And they're just like tired of feeling stuck around their money. I would say they need to have some sort of disposable income at the end of every month, right? If we are negative on a monthly basis, there's not going to be much we can do.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're not sure if you have disposable income at the end of every month, like you're not sure if it's enough to begin investing, because again, usually it's like people feel like they have to have a minimum of like 10K or 50K or some like big chunk, or that they consider a big chunk of cash to invest. And that's not the case here. We just want, I would say, minimum maybe $500 to $1,000 of disposable income on a monthly basis. There are cases where if somebody comes to me and they don't really have a lot of disposable income, I can look at their monthly living expenses and I can say, okay, if we pay this off for the year, pay this off for the year, pay this off for the year, you just basically freed up $1,500 a month that you can now invest in assets. And
Mm.
those assets will then pay off those expenses going forward,
Mhm.
right? So that now you have that, we're reducing the monthly overhead
Mhm.
and freeing up cash that can go towards investing. But ideal client already has some disposable income on a monthly basis. They're pretty good with managing their money. There may be some tweaks that we can make there, but yeah, somebody who's pretty stable
Yeah,
financially
yeah.
already.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then they're looking to basically compound their money, making, like you said, investing in these assets that is going to make them more money, and not tie up the money so that they have to wait to use the money, but that they can use it now without being
Yeah.
penalized.
Yeah. Someone that has big financial dreams
Hmm.
and feels like they're not making progress towards those. And also somebody who's maybe like tired of their job and it's like, I'll do whatever it takes to just like build my wealth so that I can get out of this job and have some autonomy over my life going forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then again, that legacy wealth, somebody who wants to build a legacy for their family and future generations, and somebody who also maybe would love to make a positive impact on the world in some way.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah,
I
I know
love
that's
that.
it's like a lot of things.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love it. As we're wrapping up here, what is it that you are working on, that you're creating, that you want to tell the world about? What do you want to call in right now?
Yes. Okay. Well, what I want to call in is members to the new community that I'm building. But even before that, I just want to say this Empire Engine framework, I want everyone to do it because I want everyone to create this passive system that is working for them so that they can be freed up to do more of the things that fulfill them, make them a better person, a happier person, and that they can then reflect back onto the world, making the world a better place. So I want everyone to go through this Empire Engine framework. But then the thing that I kind of want to call in is I am at the beginning stages of building the Audacious Founder community, where I want it to be this space where we are all super excited about talking about money, about talking about opportunities. We want to bring the opportunities to the group. We want to discuss them. We want to brainstorm about them. We want to then invite other people to maybe join us and build wealth together as this collective.
Yeah.
I was telling you earlier that like I don't it doesn't have to be something where like if you join you feel pressured to invest in things, but it's that you can now have opportunities to analyze deals, to explore new ways and vehicles of investing. You're surrounded by other people who are thinking this way and maybe challenging you to even think bigger, or people who are ready to invest in your dream.
That sounds amazing. I
It
love
does
that.
sound amazing.
Yeah, I
It
love that.
does. I
So
want
that
it.
is something that you're building, this audacious community. Where can people find you? Where
They
can
can't.
people
Oh,
contact you?
I was gonna say they can't find the community yet because it's not fully out there yet. But just
They can get
on
it
that,
on a wait list. That's for sure.
yes, I need to, that's on my to-do list. I need to put a wait list on the website. But the website is audaciousfounder.com. I have a podcast, the Audacious Founder Podcast, Being Bold in Business. That's on, I think, most of, if not all the platforms, Instagram and TikTok, Audacious Founder. And yeah, that's everything.
Awesome. I'll have that in the show notes. Melissa, it has been wonderful. I love talking money with you. It pumps me up and also makes me realize that I know nothing about money and that I've been
You
doing it
probably
all
know more
wrong.
than you think you know, because honestly, it's mostly common sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Melissa, for being on the Bite Size podcast. And if you have enjoyed this episode, if you've learned something, please let us know. Drop a comment wherever you're listening to this, or tag us on social media. Share this. That's the best thing that we ask, is that you share this podcast with someone that you know that can use some guidance on their money, on making money, on investing money, on building wealth, all of these things. Melissa is your go-to gal for this. She'll make you a
Talk your
millionaire,
ear
man.
off.
No, she definitely knows what she's talking about, and she will help you achieve those dreams and goals, those big, audacious goals.
Mhm.
Thank you for joining us. As always, you guys were divinely created for a divine purpose, and there was no mistaking you.
Mm.